Okay. And from beginning. And post. Amaranth's live, tough competition. I'm not sure I can
W's
keep the
got his
stream going
bot
the best.
wars too.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, we chose the wrong time.
We'll fight, though.
Yeah, no, we're here.
Competitors.
Hey, if there's one thing about this league, we're competitors. There's no doubt in my mind. Let me see. CMAS is here. Who else is here? Tell me who else is here in the chat real quick before we get going.
P-Town?
Oh, life. Future 28-0 user P-Town. I'll tell you what, I know this isn't the place for like Madden 23 takes, but my God, am I like 10 times more worried about P-Town in my division than I was even a week ago. He's looking good. Hi, Lucky!
I always say though, you don't know what's really going on until the games start.
That's true.
In terms of who's winning and who's not.
I mean, Cam made the finals of the preseason tourney last year and looked pretty consistently good, and then we saw what happened. Hi, P-Town! So if y'all hear my dog or any, clutter in the background, I'm at my parents' house right now. It's the first time I've done a production from here since I think Madden 17, so very exciting times. Let's get started, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Madden 22 post-cycle rankings and Madden 23 preseason tournament draw extravaganza. The slow trickle of content between cycles continues. Obviously, a while ago when we were all in Chicago, we had the lottery and team reveal show. Obviously, one of the most hyped days of the year every single time. We've had, a couple shows kind of laced throughout the pre-cycle here, but this is going to be a fun one. We've got, obviously, first off, the Madden 22 post-cycle rankings, and then we will get to the group draw here for the Madden 23 preseason tournament. I am joined by fellow content creator, fellow Super Bowl champion, fellow demon, who just got his gains in at the gym. DBC, how's it going?
Hey, Connor, I'm doing well. Yeah, it's this is a show we always do, and it's kind of a Better League Network tradition. Some of these polls and things like that. So we had a great cycle in 22. We're gonna have a great cycle in 23. We're kind of in the interim, so we're gonna fill the time with the preseason tournament, like you said, and it's gonna be a blast. I can't wait for this, and can't wait to see who the draw is and everything like that.
Yeah, really excited for that. Everyone's itching to compete. This will be, I think, the last time, because we're not getting an award show, because I don't know what Justin's doing, but it looks like we're not getting an award show, so I think this is going to be the last time in a BLN stream that we kind of look back, do a retrospective look at Madden 22, but I'm excited for this. Obviously, this has been a long time in the works. He sent out the call for people to send in ballots, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago, something like that, and we got 8 respondents. We'll get to those respondents here at the end of this, but do you want to just explain real quick, like, the logic that went into, because you were the one that came up with the tiers. Do you want to explain real quick, like, the logic that went into the 5 tiers that you created for this one?
Yeah, the 5 tiers. Well, so everyone gave me a ballot 1 through 32. Thank you everyone for doing that. It takes a few minutes to do. So I appreciate that. But when you look at the vote totals and you aggregate all the scores and everything like that, you can clearly see that there are like 5 tiers that the users fall into. You're either one of the champions, they separate themselves, and then you've got the guys who are kind of on the fence of winning the championship, and then you got the people who are consistently in the playoffs but not like really contenders all the time, and then you have like the fringe playoff people, and then you have the bottom, the people who are not making anything. With all due respect.
With all due respect, I think we got a couple people in the bottom who might be a bit upset, a bit salty to find themselves there. We'll finally get to it. This is going to be, we're going to go kind of 32-1 in that order, like we've always done with these ranking shows, kind of go worst to first. And we're going to start again with that bottom tier that Dan was talking about. I believe there are 8 users in this tier, and then we'll move down. And obviously Nick at number 32. And just to kind of like give a guide for what we're looking at, you see the ranking there, number 32. The record that's in the parentheses was his total record throughout the cycle. So Nick obviously went 7-95. Quite the accomplishment there, honestly, to go 7-95 and stick out the whole cycle. I don't know a lot of people, frankly, with the mental fortitude to put up that type of record and still stick around and be locked in heading into Madden 23. So respect to Nick for that. And then obviously you see the top ballot, aka the ballot ranking that was the highest on you, and then bottom, the ballot ranking that most disrespected you. So we have Tim to start off, or excuse me, Nick to start off, number 32. Then Ryan went 23-79 on the year. Byron 7-21, obviously kind of an abbreviated cycle with those Detroit Lions at the end of Madden 22. Jesse, little surprised about this one, 20-41 on the year. Boz 28-63, the first user to actually have a playoff game on their record here. They did go 0-1 in the playoffs here again with those Detroit Lions before Byron took over. Ben at 25-47, Gamble at 32-70, and then finally to round out the bottom tier here, you have Cam at 35-67. And obviously, a lot of these users looking to have a far better cycle in Madden 23 than they did in Madden 22. Among this bottom tier, what kind of stands out to you? Was anyone too high, anyone too low? Like, what do you think about this tier here?
Not really. And I just wanted to say the point of these ballots is, for the end of cycle at least, is not necessarily, the pure user standpoints, who we think is good or who we think is going to be good in 23 and beyond or anything like that. This is just evaluating on-field performance for the Madden 22 cycle. So, like, for example, a guy like Ben, 24, 25, and 47. I mean, he was pretty bad. He was pretty bad with the Texans. He left, he took a big hit, I think, in a lot of people's ranks and stuff, just for leaving. And then, didn't do too much with the Dolphins when he came back, but he was okay. But so a guy like Ben, obviously very disappointing cycle. He's feels very confident with his Chiefs right now, going into the next one, but didn't have his best cycle. Jesse, Jesse did not get a lot of love. I think him having the start with the Dolphins season 1, and then kind of, trading Tua and then getting the league pissed or whatever, and then he just leaves. So I think he went 0-6, and then he just left. So I think that took a big hit in people's ballots. Other than that, these are just there's only a few people, I believe, that have zero chance of making the playoffs, unless like an apocalypse happens. So, and I think I would say there's 4 people. You could say there's 5, 6, 7, but this is pretty much sums up, except for a couple of people like Ben, of people and Boz, of people who you don't really expect to make the playoffs, and you'd be surprised that they do.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point that you brought up there at the end. That really speaks to the depth of the league. Is even guys like Cam and Gamble, yes, they're at the bottom tier, deservedly so based on their resume, but they had flashes. Gamble was one game away from making the playoffs at one point. Cam, I think, before he kind of went full Michigan and just kind of tanked the rest of the cycle, he was not a bad user by any stretch. So that is really a good indicator of how deep the league is. But yeah, I mean, Jesse, where he is, really, I think a lot of people were just kind of turned off by his cycle overall. I don't know if he was necessarily the 29th best user just in terms of pure on-field talent. But again, the GM decisions he made in terms of, just completely tearing down the roster he had, then leaving, then coming back and not really doing much. I mean, you can say the same about Ben. The only difference is Ben, is actually a good team builder. Ben didn't discuss people with the trades he was making, but Ben, obviously, one of the biggest disappointments of the cycle. I was a little surprised just based, obviously Boz had a really, really shaky cycle overall. I was a little surprised that he was below Ben and below Gamble, and maybe even arguably below Cam, because I mean, the guy made the playoffs. Yes, he didn't do anything once he made it, and yes, he overall, you can see that 28-63 record. He had a really, really shaky cycle overall, but I just thought the fact that he made the playoffs overall, even if it was just this one total fluke moment that he had, I thought that would kind of bump him up into at least, I guess, the top of this tier, if not maybe the bottom of the subsequent one. But I can't really argue with anything that I'm seeing so far. Yeah, like you said, there are the 3-4 guys, maybe arguably 5, who will never make the playoffs, and then beyond that, it really is kind of any given Sunday in this league. And
Absolutely.
that's the bottom tier. Obviously, I don't know who voted for Cam at 18. I don't know if Cam submitted a ballot. Don't think he did. So yeah, someone's made a weird decision there. And Boz at 32 is kind of wild too. We move on now to the next tier here, which is the fringe tier, aka you can see them make a playoff run every so often, but overall they're just kind of in that they're not they're not a threat to get a top 5 pick in the draft, but they're not necessarily a threat to make a whole ton of noise in the playoffs either. We begin here with Chapterroll 42 and 60. I believe his best season was the final season of the league of Madden 22, where he was one missed scissors route away from beating Cody and making the playoffs. And then we move on. Taint 43 and 59. Tim 43, 58 and 1, beating Taint out by half a game, I guess. P-Town 31, 42. Again, made the playoffs. You can see there 0 and 1. Kook 47 and 55. Made the playoffs twice, which I completely forgot about. Lost both of those games. Warren actually with a winning record, the first one we've seen here, 25 and 20. But again, that I guess kind of like a lack of tenure here, a lack of longevity kind of hurt him in a couple people's ballots. Again, 0-2 in the playoffs. Chase, 48-54, and then finally to round this one off, Cloud, 58-42. 0 playoff wins in this tier, a whole lot of losses, a whole lot of variety as well among, the top and bottom ballots. You can see, especially with P-Town, getting as high as 15, as low as 26. That's an 11 spot spread with him, so people not really knowing what to make of P-Town necessarily. What do you think about this tier?
Yeah, I mean, these are pretty much all the guys that you would expect. Like they could make the playoffs, but then if they sneak it in, are they really gonna make any noise? Probably not. But they can definitely make it. So a guy like Taint, I think twice came a game from the playoffs. Chap, he made the playoffs at the end of 21, almost did at the end of 22. I think Tim has gotten a little bit better. Been pretty competitive in a few of those seasons, especially early on. P-Town competes. You see him right now competing, so he's a playoff user at his best. Kook is always up and down. Kook is always going to be on this kind of area, because even if he wins a bowl, he'll probably go 1-16 the next season. That's how up and down he is. Warren, obviously the best pure Madden player of this category, but as you said, lack of tenure. People don't really know him that well. I think he also didn't really care much for playing with that Texans team at the end, and his record really reflects that. And Chase and Cloud, pretty inconsistent, but could shine when they're playing at their best.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying in the previous BLN show about a week ago, Warren is a 5-6 time Super Bowl champion in top. So he's clearly, which is a league with a lot of better league users in it. So clearly he's got the pure Madden talent. We've seen photos of him competing in Madden 08 tournaments, getting sweaty way before any of us were. But, we both agree on, it sounds like lack of tenure. And then also when he did make the playoffs, he didn't do a whole ton. I remember him pushing Austin once in the wildcard round. But again, you can see there 0-2, wasn't able to ultimately win that game. Wolf Knight is in the building, the FSU fan himself, so I'll try to ignore everything he says. As far as the remainder of this tier here, Chap obviously broke my heart with that missed scissors route. He's very up and down, kind of like Kook, what you were describing. He can have just an absolutely horrible season, or he's a game away from making the playoffs, like we saw again when Cody took however many force losses and still ended up winning that division. Taint, I am praying on a playoff run at some point. I don't think it's going to happen in Madden 23, but I think the whole league would get behind him if he finally made the playoffs. As far as the rest of these guys go, I think you see guys like, P-Town, Warren, I think you could even say Chase, based on how locked in he is in the team you got. These are guys that you don't necessarily expect to be in the fringe category in Madden 23, but again, this isn't projecting. This is just looking back at what they were in Madden 22, and the fact is, all of these guys were either inconsistent or just not really all that competitive at any point. It's guys who can rise up and beat elite users at any time. We've seen that with most of these guys, maybe Chap and Taint notwithstanding, but everyone else in this group we've seen, kind of take down the top dogs, but the consistency is not there. And then as we see, once they get to the playoffs, they're a combined quick math 0-8 this cycle in the playoffs. So they kind of are where they belong here. Anything else to say about this tier, or should we move on?
Not at all. You hit it right on the head.
Absolutely. Wolf Knight saying, I've never quit a league or a game. That's that dog energy. I love that. Or Wolf Knight, he's got that dog in him. Shout out to Zach Wilson. We move on now.
Does that mean he's booted?
Oh, shit. I might put some eyes in the chat about that one. Maybe Wolf Knight's been booted. We have the playoff user category here. It's going to become very apparent. We take quite the leap here in terms of playoff success. But again, these are guys who were never quite able to make that run in the playoffs, or they were consistently making it, but not necessarily doing a whole ton once they got there. But still a very, very dangerous tier of user here. Again, speaking to the depth of this league, we have, and I forget where this ends. So if I go one further, I apologize. I'll just back up. But we have Dahoudi, 50-52 with a losing record, but did make that run to the AFC Championship game season 1 of the Better League. Shout out to the run commit glitch. We have Alex at 63-59, 1-4 in the playoffs, but he did get one top 10 ballots. I would love to know who ranked Alex 10th once I'm kind of done with my speech here. Morty at 14, 62-40. Did they get that extra playoff win? 2-5 overall were his Carolina Panthers. King at number 13, 60-41-1. Again, did make that run to the NFC Championship, I believe. Unable to quite beat out. And when I say NFC, I mean AFC. Thank you very much. Kumar, again, much like Dahoudi, much like King, had that one playoff run where he played Phil in the AFC Championship game and ended up losing out. He went 61-41. There's Phil, again, losing record, but he did make the Super Bowl, so that Super Bowl run kind of single-handedly leapt him over a lot of these guys. Justin at number 10, again, he was number 5 mid-cycle, so dropping down a little bit, 59-43. 4-4, probably the most consistent playoff user that we've seen so far. CMAS at number 9, 69-33 on the year, 2-5, did struggle mightily in the playoffs, especially Don Washington, and that's why he's in the Hall. Very good, not in the Hall of Fame. And then finally, at number 8, we have Lucky, 66-36. 1 playoff win to his name, 6 playoff losses. What do you think about this tier?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone probably belongs in this tier. I think Dahoudi kind of on the fence between those two tiers, but there was a much more considerable gap between 16 and 17 versus 17, 18, whatever. So he's there. I think he really got screwed by such a tough division. He only made the playoffs season 1, made the AFC Championship, but came short there, but never made it back, and pretty much had losing seasons, barely sub 500 every season, pretty much. Alex, roller coaster of a cycle. He's had that ghost Vance. Yeah. You gotta have to kind of feel bad about him for that. Morty has been to the playoffs all the time. Didn't really do much. I think his shining moment of the cycle was beating Little Alex in the wild card round.
Had to be.
Yeah, I mean that was a huge win, for sure. King, I was pretty high on King early in the cycle. I thought he really had the capacity to make a deep run. He almost made the Super Bowl season 2. He lost a steal in that championship game, but never really returned to the playoffs to do anything, make much noise. Kumar got easy mode with Shane Shelton, and he just kind of went to work and went from kind of not making it, being sub 500, to just kind of being a beast. That's 61-41, 20 games above 500. And I think a lot of that came in the last 3 seasons, because I don't think he was that good in the first couple.
He was like a 500 user the first couple. Yeah, okay. He wasn't doing much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Phil, just catching lightning in a bottle. Think about that. He was 1 2-point conversion stop from ending Cody's undefeated season. Cody was almost not 20-0 because a 7 seed 9-8 team almost just ran through the whole AFC and almost beat him in the Super Bowl. That was crazy. Justin, what a fall from grace, this kid. He was pretty justifiably number 5 in the mid-cycle rankings, and then he just fell. He took a nosedive. I don't know if 10 should have been it, but I mean maybe he could have been 8 or whatever, based on all his success, especially in the wild card round. Pretty much made the divisional round every year until he decided that he wasn't going to be good anymore. So So I don't know. We like to rag on him a lot, but I think he did some nice things and made some good strides. CMAS, yeah, I mean, great regular season. Like you got to give him credit. Being in that AFC North, that's a pretty damn good record for a division of death.
Absolutely.
69-33. I think CMAS was pretty much the perennial 5 seed. He was always the 5 seed, but that meant that he would play the 4 seed, which was Justin Thiele in the wild card round, and it never ended well for him. So that's why you see that 2-5 with the playoff record. But I don't know. Maybe if things had a little bit different, went a little bit different. Maybe if he got some better, more favorable matchups in the playoffs for him, maybe he could have gone deeper and had a better cycle. And Lucky, man, Lucky, I had no idea his regular season record was so good. He just kind of sneakily got 66 wins. Props to him. He just never really did much in the wild card round when he got into the playoffs. He never won the division, never really had a chance because Alex was just so good, especially in the early seasons. But yeah, I think he just kind of ran into some tough matchups. I think he played me twice, Cody twice. And then, I think his one win was against Morty, I think. So, yeah, I think some tough matchups, but I'd like to see a little bit more from him, though.
Wolf and I talking about his commish run. I mean, we could use some, some good admins like you, Wolf and I, because we got some crooked admins here in this league. Let me tell you, my goodness. Shout out to the Ghost Vances. I'll get to. I mean, yeah, Lucky was just like perpetually like 11-6, 12-5. I don't think he ever really like rose above that necessarily, but he was just super, super consistent. I'll get to his thoughts about his overall ranking because I have some here, but I kind of go on top to bottom. Dahoudi, yeah, obviously like had that one amazing season 1, and then really like didn't do a whole lot other than that. He was just kind of forgotten within the within that division of death there, and you do have to give him points for being in that division of death, having to play Hero, Steel, and CMAS twice a year each. But I mean, and I've heard you say this too, Dan, like he was one of the more disappointing users of the cycle, absolutely. You definitely expect more from a 2-time Super Bowl champion there. Alex, Morty, King, and Kumar, that to me is a giant soup. Y'all know how much I love saying soup. Like you really could rank like those four guys in any order, and I really like wouldn't disagree with you the whole time. Very similar regular season records, very similar playoff records. They kind of all struck me as kind of being in the same tier, in the same sort of lot in life where, yeah, they were dangerous, obviously. They're very dangerous users, but you never really expected them to make that, like, one run to where they would be able to, like, really contend for a Super Bowl. They just never really showed that level of elite talent within the cycle, and I think you kind of see that there within those rankings. Phil, I mean, had I submitted a ballot, and I apologize for not, but had I submitted a ballot, Phil would have been the guy who would have had the most trouble ranking. I mean, how do you square away the fact that he was, 14 games below 500? Like that regular season, that's a fringe user regular season ranking, and it's not even one of the better ones, I don't think. But then, as you said, he made that dream Super Bowl run. Bodied Austin, beat Kumar, beat Steele, I think, as well. So like that's a run of 3 really good wins, and then like you just said, a 2-point conversion away from winning the Super Bowl outright. And if you won the Super Bowl, I mean, do you put him top 5? Like, I don't even know what you do. Like, with a losing record, it's like it's really tough to say. So
yeah, and I just want to point out, actually, you didn't finish. Can continue?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So like 11 feels fine, and then like because I really don't know like how you're supposed to drop him or have him rise above the other 3 guys ahead of him. So like 11 feels fine. Now. Here's where things, and I hate to do it. Like, this is, like, I'm the meme of, like, the baby holding the gun and, like, covering his eyes right now. Just, like, I'm so sad for what I'm about to say. But, like, we gotta talk about this Lucky ranking, okay? My man won 1 playoff game. 66-36, yes, very consistent throughout the regular season. A perpetual 11-win, 12-win user in the regular season. You cannot take that away from him. But if I'm Justin, and especially if I'm CMAS, I'm thinking, why is he ahead of me? Like, why is he ahead of either of those guys? Justin was far more successful in the playoffs, won 4 games, 3 of those against CMAS, beat Hero Austin outright, and, I think y'all can guess where Hero is in these rankings, but beat Hero in the playoffs, one of, I think, only 2 users to do so. Obviously, didn't have quite the regular season success, and yes, he was in an easier division, but, like, way, way more of a threat in the playoffs than Lucky was. And then CMAS, better regular season ranking in a far harder division and a better playoff record as well. It's like, why am I below Lucky? I don't understand. It's like, you could argue maybe Phil is above Justin, and CMAS, I think, absolutely should be above Lucky. I don't understand how he got 8, and you can see in that spread, they all had like a high ranking of 8, low of either 14 or 15. Like it seems like it was pretty close. But I mean, Dan, this is the ranking I most
Yeah.
disagree with. I would absolutely drop Lucky down to 10, if not 11.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to point out before I interrupted you that like 8, 9, and 10 are like a soup, and 8, 9, 10, 11, that's like a soup. Like
Hmm.
I'm looking at like the aggregate averages over here, and then like what you said, Kumar, King, Morty, Alex, that's also another soup. So you kind of hit that on the money of what the consensus is,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's tough because like Lucky only beat CMAS by 2 points, 2 vote points.
Oh
So like
God.
83 to 85. Like that was how close it is. And then like the gap between 7 and 8 is just like astronomical. So what I'm
Hmm.
saying is like no one really felt comfortable like putting someone 8. It's just like someone had to be 8 because it's just the way it is. It's just there was like like that tier, like that sub tier of like Justin, CMAS, Lucky, it's so close. And then there's just a huge drop between 8 and 7. There's just like someone had to be it. So and it was so close. So it's like it was just like flipping a coin between any of these guys, according to all these voters.
Yeah, I think to me, I think CMAS is like I would put CMAS, I think pretty clearly above Lucky. But I can see the argument, and Lucky's making the argument right now in the chat, and I hear what he's saying. Like I get the argument why like maybe it's not as simple as I was saying, where maybe Justin Lucky like that's pretty interchangeable. I think CMAS should be 8. I just do, and that's coming from me who like I think CMAS was the most disappointing user of the cycle. I've been pretty like clear in what I've said there, like just in terms of the talent he had versus what he was able to do in the playoffs. Like I think he's the most disappointing user. But separate that, I still think he should be number 8, and Lucky maybe should be number 9 or arguably number 10. That's Lucky to make a good point that he
Yeah.
missed the playoffs twice in an easier division. You do forget Justin had the final season from hell, and we won't talk about why. But we move on now to the second to last tier. These are the contenders, aka guys who you're not going to see any Super Bowl rings, but these are guys who were firmly in that contending tier all the way throughout the season. At number 7, you have me, 58-44, 7-5 in the playoffs. Again, very, very much of a consensus. The top was 6, bottom was 7. At number 6, DBC, far better regular season record than me, 69-32-1, same playoff record, 7-5. We each made a Super Bowl and then a couple conference championships on the way. Same top and bottom rankings. I love to know how close we were in terms of the spread as well. And then finally, at number 5 in this tier, we have little Alex, 85-17, the best regular season record anyone had all cycle. 8-6, made 3 Super Bowls, lost all 3 of them, and little more disagreement in terms of where people rank them. Top 3, bottom 5. Not as much to talk about with this one, Dan, but what are your thoughts on this tier?
Yeah, I mean, it was very close between the two of us, Connor. Like, actually, no, never mind. Like, I'm looking at it now. Like, there was only 1 6 for you and all 7s, but like, it was pretty much it was agreed that like we're 6 and 7, and then Alex. Some people gave Alex a lot more points for all of his success. He definitely deserves a lot of props to because he made 3 Super Bowls. He went 17-0 2 seasons in a row. 19-0
19-0, I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like that is an accomplishment of its own. I know it's not, the ultimate prize and everything like that, but you got to give him respect. I personally just like I think he kind of went on a downwards trend towards the end of the cycle.
Yes.
Versus where he was. Like he was dominant. By like at seasons 2 and 3, he was just like unstoppable. And then like, he kind of felt more human coming in 4, 5, and 6. I definitely felt that when I played him and you played him and everything like that. I am a little surprised though, coming back to you, Connor, that like a lot of people voted me over you because you went to like 3 NFC championships or 2 or something like that, and you made the Super Bowl. You were far more likely, I felt, to make a deeper playoff run than I did. I was just stuck in the divisional round until the very end of the cycle. But that's just a quick comment on that. talking about myself, I'll just talk about myself for a second. I always want to win a championship. That's like the main goal. A sub goal I have, which tends to lead to that primary goal, is I always want to have a winning playoff record. Like that's always something I want to have.
Mhm.
And I was able to accomplish that and felt good about that, but obviously came short at the end. But and everything like that. But Alex, I just want to say, Alex, I'm kind of going in circles with this, but I just want to make one more point with Alex. I couldn't really put him. I know I already said it. Never mind. I'm just talking all. I'm just talking all over the place, Connor.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Welcome to
But
Better League Network Experience. You're all good. I mean, that's all I do when I hop on the mic.
Yeah, I'll just say it again. Alex gets a lot of props. Should get a lot of props, but I personally put him 5, and a lot of other people did because the champions, the resume of the champions, and just the weight of that Lombardi Trophy, and what they also did as well, just kind of outweighs what he did.
To me, the only person that you could argue putting him ahead of is probably Austin, but I think I would still put Austin ahead of him. I'd have to think about it though, honestly. Like that's a tough, like the 4 or 5 is tough, but yeah, overall, as far as like the you versus me, obviously, you had a pretty clearly better regular season record. Like, yes, I was more consistently making runs than you, but I think like my Super Bowl against Hero Austin probably put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because that was a non-competitive game, and B, call it recency bias, call it whatever you want, but I do think like you got better and better, more and more competitive within the playoffs, as the cycle went on, and then we saw that all obviously culminate in the final season. So I don't, I agree that we should be either 6-7 or 7-6. I agree that like it makes sense to post right next to each other. I don't hate you being over me. It's not. I don't take offense to that whatsoever. That seems totally reasonable. And then Little Axe, like I said, put him 5, maybe put him over Austin, but I don't think you can really argue him over the other 3 champions, I guess. Which we will move on now to finally the 4 Super Bowl champions. I guess I kind of gave away who number 4 is, but at number 4 is Austin, GOAT Austin, 69-33. Same, I think, same regular season record as, almost the same as Dan, except that one tie kind of breaks that out. But someone voted him second, which is interesting. But top 2, bottom 5 there, 7-4, obviously in the playoffs. Number 3, Steele. Had the division of death, made that just glorious run to the Super Bowl where he played an incredible game against Lil Alex, was able to beat him out. Again, top 2, bottom 5. Number 2, Cody Youngson, the only user in Better League history to go 20-0, which is something that none of you have seen in the chat. I'm breaking news when I say that. Boz especially would never bring that up just out of the blue. So 77, 24-1, 9-5, maybe one of, if not the most consistent users in the league in terms of regular season and playoffs. And then finally, the unanimous number 1, Hero Austin, second best regular season record in that division of death, 10-3 in the playoffs, which is unbelievable coming from a guy who, his reputation going into the cycle was, kind of a playoff choker. Again, as you can see there, the unanimous number 1. Can't really, argue any of these guys being in this tier. Obviously, they are literally Super Bowl champions. That's a dumb statement out of me, but what do you think about this one? Any disagreements, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, like, Austin, like, a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people were very high on him until that final playoff run. But, like, look at that record. It's pretty good.
Not bad.
With all things considering. He did, like, when he got Gunslinger, season 6, he went 16-0 and lost to Steel week 18. He easily could have made a Super Bowl run there. But he just kind of ran into the freight train that was Phil and Devontae Williams. But that happened. But Austin was always knocking on the door in the playoffs, being competitive. It didn't work. It didn't go his way for the most part, but it all worked out in the end. Steele, for being like really shit season 1, like what a turnaround. Trading for Kyler Murray, doing whatever he could to win that championship season 2, if you know what I mean. And he was consistent the whole way through. I think the only thing that was stopping Steele from, winning 2 or 3 championships was the guy who's number 1. Because I think I think maybe he lost 3 times to Hero, if I'm not mistaken, in the playoffs. Like he would just kind of like do well, and then boom, Hero would just kind of shit on him. But it is what it is. Matchups, matchups, matchups. But Cody, man, Cody. He, as you said, most consistent user ever. He's like a guy that like he's got a high ceiling. Like we all know Cody's got a high ceiling, but I think what's really great about Cody is that he's got a very high floor.
Highest in the league. It's absolutely the highest floor in the league.
By far the highest floor in the league. Like you might think that a guy like Austin, because like he's the most successful ever, would have a high floor, but no, like Austin's floor is pretty far down. I think way below Cody, or in like a guy like me, or anyone else. So Cody, Cody will always get like 11 wins, 12 wins, make the playoffs, win his division, probably get to the divisional round at least, championship game at least, and then once in a while he'll win that championship, and that's exactly what he did season 5, 19-0, 20-0. Sorry, 20-0. It all came together. Like what an unbelievable call on that 2-point conversion after the 25-hour pause.
Yes.
To beat Phil.
This isn't slander hour, so I won't talk about that. But yes,
I think that game alone put him number 2. I felt like out of all the one-time champions, like Cody was clearly number 2, if number 1 in my opinion. And then come on, Hero, man. Like I'll be honest, I was very out on Hero in terms of like pre-cycle. I had him number 4 in the division of death.
Same with me.
And I will admit when I'm wrong, and yeah, I was wrong. He just completely blew every expectation out of the water, completely blew everyone's opinion of him as a playoff choker out of the water. And like, no superlatives can possibly like say just how much of a breakout cycle he had. Whether you want to say like it was the team he had, of course he had a great team, but he put it out there. He knew how to play the game, and he just dominated. Like he was dominant. Like he would make the 1 seed like every year. Like those 3 Super Bowls he had, I think he was the 1 seed in every single one, and he was like 16-1 in the regular season. So like he deserves every piece of unanimous in this cycle. And like, to be honest, when we kind of reflect on the history of the league, there's only been a few people that kind of took a hold of the cycle. Like you always kind of sit, like a cycle can be kind of defined sometimes by a dynasty, and like he was the definitive dynasty of 22, and it's like not even close. You know what I mean? You cannot even possibly say that someone had it over him. So you get props to him, man. It all came together. Happy for him. He's a great guy. So there's nothing more else you can say about him.
Yeah, happy to see a guy like him succeed for sure. Yeah, one of my favorite guys in the league. Just kind of give everyone their shine here real quick. Austin. I mean, you can make the argument even with the regular season consistency we're talking about. Winning that division more often than not. You can make the argument heading into the final season that Austin was one of, if not the most disappointing users of the cycle. He just didn't really have that playoff run that you were expecting out of him. Obviously, won some games. Obviously the playoff record there shows that, but he didn't really have that like I'm Rhode Island Austin. I'm here like I'm the however many time champion. Like he just didn't have like that season of dominance necessarily, even with the 16-0 you're talking about. But a Super Bowl win papers over a lot of stuff. He had an incredible run to make the Super Bowl. I wasn't necessarily expecting it, and then obviously had the game against you was interesting. It was a fun Super Bowl to watch for sure. A fun Super Bowl to close the cycle out on, and he was able to win that, which is tough against a guy that you've played so often. I think was kind of like an underrated storyline within that. So he definitely belongs where he is. Steele, I wasn't necessarily seeing as a contender, especially with what Lucky had done to him, heading into the cycle. I just kind of like that taste was in my mouth, giving up 70 something in a playoff game, but he did a really, really good job. Had one of the more impressive playoff runs I've ever seen, frankly, especially with how that Super Bowl over Little Alex win, where he played a near perfect game, in my opinion. I mean, it's one of the better, I think, Super Bowl performances we've ever seen anyone put up, just in terms of being locked in all game. Cody, like we've both said, highest floor in the league, one of the highest ceilings in the league, obviously with his 3 rings, was able to go 20-0. We'll see how long it is until someone else is able to join him in the 20-0 pantheon, but for now, he's the only one, and then Hero, I've given him all his flowers, I've given him all his props, and I will continue to as we head into Madden 23. I'll never doubt him. I'll never disrespect him again, because I was very low, very, very low on Hero heading into Madden 22 cycle, and he shattered my expectations, shattered everyone else's expectations, shattered his own expectations. I know that for a fact, and he is here now as a 3-time Super Bowl champion, which only a select few better league users can say. These are the users. I didn't have time to put like the 1 through 32 on the thing. I guess I did have time since we went to 9:30. But anyway, these are the users that submitted a ballot: Steel, Cody, Morty, Alex, Little Alex, Dan, Hero, and Lucky. Thank you all so much for submitting a ballot here for Dan's post-cycle rankings. Before we get to our Madden 23 content here, do you have anything about just like the overall rankings or about the cycle? I mean, this is maybe your last chance to speak, about the Madden 22 cycle specifically. So what do you want to say about it?
Well, first of all, what a terrible game Madden 22 was.
Oh my god!
We can talk like we can really talk like this in retrospect. Like I just hated it, man. So like if there was one cycle, like personally, if I wasn't gonna win a championship, let it be 22. That was pretty trash. But I mean, like I always say this too, like for as bad as 22 was, how great was it to play in Better League? Like I never thought for a second I would like leave the league, even though I hated the game. And because like we have such a great community, we have such great, stuff, and it's just so fun to be competitive in this league and everything like that. We're so involved, and we just keep going. So just props to the league, man, for that. Just talking about the I call these the long-term power ranking. So I started this in mid-21. I had this idea of just kind of like logging where everyone has been, and we'll have consensus rankings, and we can kind of see how people ebb and flow. And I think maybe on the website I'll put up some chart or something that shows kind of the history of everyone's ranks. I think that would be kind of interesting for people to see. But we've done like 5 of these so far, and we're gonna do another one for pre-23, so we can kind of gauge how your clout, I guess, in the league has gone up and down, your peaks and your troughs and everything like that. So I think this is great data for people to kind of look back on or reflect on their time in BL, at least for the last couple cycles.
Yeah, I mean, think about, and I still think Madden 19 was the worst game compared to Madden 22, but I think back to the amount of turnover we had in Madden 19, like damn near half the league got cycled through at some point. I mean, at one point, it was a question as to whether the league would even survive that cycle. And I do think a lot of the difference between how Madden 19 went and how Madden 22 went is that, I mean, A, we've all grown up, we're maybe a little less like emotional and less reactive than we were in Madden 19. But B, I memean, like you said, like the content, the community we have, like the friendships, we've had 2 trips where we've like met each other IRL, soon to be 3, in 2023, hopefully. So like that, more than anything is like just such a great indicator of like the community we've built and kind of the, the friendships we've built, honestly, the bonds with each other. And we have BLN, we have podcasts, announced games, we have these types of shows like Dan and I are doing right now. It's just like we've built like quite, I don't know if empire is the right word, but like we've built like quite the thing here that I think is really here to stay. So that is really like proof to just how great all of y'all are in terms of creating content and streaming your games, getting hyped about each other's games. It's a great league we've got here. I guess, that kind of sums it up here. Yeah, those were the final rankings. Thank you all so much for participating. I'm going to post real quick in Slack. I'm going to @channel to let people know that we're about to get into the Madden 23 content here. So, again, Steel, Cody, Morty, Alex, Little Alex, Dan, Hero, and Lucky, thank you for all submitting your ballots, and thank you all for sticking around so far. So, here is what we have, ladies and gentlemen. This is the template for the Madden 23 preseason tournament groups that we are about to put together. Let me explain to y'all the logic behind this real quick. So we have put everyone into one of 4 wheels here, and which wheel you're in is based on your Madden 22 post-cycle ranking. We had to have one way, or we had to have a way, I should say, to kind of like, put guys into the tiers, and that feels like just as good a way as any. So as you can see, these are kind of the most successful, the highest ranked Madden 22 users: Little Alex, Steele, Hero, Cody, Dan, Lucky, myself. And then you've got the second tier here: CMAS, Phil, Justin, Kumar, Morty, Alex, Tahuti. Then the third tier: Warren, Kook, P-Town, Tim, Taint, Cam, Gamble. And then the fourth tier, which I'll talk about, Ben, Jesse, Byron, Ryan, Nick. And then Samoan and Nico obviously didn't play in Madden 22. They don't have any types of rankings. So we just threw them in this group. We just threw them in this group. It just kind of was the most logical thing to do, in my opinion, is just throw them in group 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin each wheel for each group, and the user A here, user B here, etc., and we're just going to create the groups that way. So Dan, before we get to spinning, let me hear you talk some shit here. Is there anyone that you're really looking forward to maybe getting in your group? Is there anyone you really want to see in your group? How do you feel about this?
I don't know, man. I'm ready to compete against anyone. I'm ready to see some teams, maybe some guys I haven't seen, guys we haven't heard of in a while. So just ready to get on the sticks and as I said, be competitive and let's have some fun.
Absolutely, let's have some fun here. And yes, CMAS, the reasoning behind this tiers is we kind of want every group to be theoretically pretty balanced in terms of the total skill level in there. So we want, based on Madden 22, we want an elite user, a pretty good user, an okay user, and then a not so good user. Again, it's a Madden 22. We could see some groups of death here.
I have to say, to interrupt you, Connor.
Absolutely,
we have put an embarrassing amount of effort in setting up this preseason tournament, which we don't even take that seriously most of the time. But we got to the grind. We're working on the spreadsheet for all the groups and everything like that. So we're taking this serious.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I don't have your table that you created pulled up. You can show the people that in the chat after this production's over. But my God, did Dan go all out for this? I mean, props to DBC.
Yeah, and you DM'd me an issue. I fixed it. I'm fixing it on all the tabs. So beautiful right now.
All right, y'all are right. I love the wheel, and let's get the wheel going, ladies and gentlemen. The first spin. This will decide the A tier user in group number 1. I mean, not super exciting because we don't know who we're playing. So first off, in group number 1, we are going to have Lucky's Miami Dolphins, and yes, we get to remove them, and that cheering is going to be kind of annoying, but it's okay. We got Lucky in here. Now we're going to go, so should we do all of the A tier users and do it like the FIFA World Cup does it, or should we just decide the groups? Okay, so we're going to keep spinning this A one here. We're going to keep spinning this one until we're done, and just kind of go through the A tier user that way. In group number 2, it's going to be real close here between me and Little Alex. It looks like it will be my Indianapolis Colts. I don't know if it gets a little janky on y'all's streams. I apologize. I remember having issues with this before, but hopefully it's smooth. Give me group 2, CMAS. That's the most disrespectful shit I've ever seen. All right, there he is. Little Alex is Bears will be in group 3. We're going to keep spinning here. We got 4 more A-tier users remaining. Steele's Arizona Cardinals will be in group number 4. I got to make sure to click and move every time. Heroes New York Jets, group number 5. This is the amount of anticipation you saw in the last FIFA World Cup draw when I didn't know what the hell was going on. I mean, you watched that, right, Dan? That just super awkward World Cup drawing. That was fun. All right, it's between Dan and Cody here. We'll see who's in group 6 and who's in group 7. All right, DBC will be in group 6, and that means Cody will be in group 7. So, y'all who have not been spun through yet, you can start to think about which group do you want to be in? You know, who's maybe a bit of a weaker A tier user, who's one of the top tier ones? We will have to see. So you can see right there, in order, Lucky, Connor, Little Alex, Steel, Hero, Dan, Cody, groups 1 through 7. So we go to the B tier users to decide who is playing with Lucky in group 1. Oh, this could get toxic. Oh, we have a divisional matchup. It's going to be Justin's Buffalo Bills in group number 1 with Lucky. That is going to be real fun. That's going to be real fun. So that we got a little divisional preview there already. That's going to be exciting to see who's playing in group 2 with me.
Lucky. Justin. Hell yeah.
All right. Little we'll battle of the OGs here. It's going to be me and Alex. I get to play Alex's Panthers, which I'm not looking forward to playing that pass rush, to see who plays Little Alex in group 3. All right, this is, again, it's a bit of a toxic matchup here. It's going to be Little Alex and Morty in group 2. We remember, of course, in the last BLN production, the last podcast, Morty putting Little Alex below Nick in his preseason rankings.
Wow, yeah.
Early prove it chance here for Little Alex, or maybe for Morty to prove that Alex is trash. We will see. For group 4. You have Kumar's Tampa Bay Buccaneers for group 4. And I forget who else is in group 4. I apologize, I didn't check. Okay, that's me with Steel. So Steel versus Kumar. These are actually some really good matchups, and matchups with a lot of kind of history and a lot of weight behind them already. So to decide who plays against Hero, it's either going to be C-Mass, Dahootie, or Phil. Oh, God. Oh, another toxic matchup here, ladies and gentlemen. Hero versus Phil. I'm loving these groups already. And then finally, we got Dan and Cody. Whoever this lands on will play with Dan, and then the final one will play with Cody. It is going to be C-Mass in Dan's group, and then Dahootie with Cody. Very, very exciting stuff. All right, so early projections here. How are we feeling about that matchup, Dan?
I don't know. We played recently, just in a F around game, and he was kind of killing me with Pitt, so got to figure out how to stop that.
Yeah, Compass is going to be a problem, especially with those jump balls, my God. But we can see here, obviously, I won't spend too much time just like ruminating on the groups. We can talk about the groups after the fact. But third tier users here. We got P-Town. Really, to me, this is like, you don't want Warren and you don't want P-Town, in my opinion. Like, those are the guys who like you're really trying to avoid. To decide who plays with Lucky and Justin in group 1. Oh, and there it is. I just mentioned it is going to be Warren's New York Giants. Lucky, Justin, and Warren all together.
Kind of a group of death, huh?
It really might be, dude. It really might be. We'll see who that user D is, but I know like people are not trying to be in that group. I can tell you that right now. That's real tough. Although, can you call something with Justin a group of death? I don't know. With me. All right. It's going to be Cam. Cam's Seattle Seahawks are with myself and Alex. 3 Chicago brothers there. 3 Chicago brothers. Love to see that. To decide who plays with Little Alex and Morty. Again, I think everyone's trying to avoid P-Town at this point. And they will avoid P-Town. They get Kooks, Washington Commanders, who I don't know if I've seen Kook in the chat one time since M23 has come out, to be honest with you. Other than to thumbs up that message. With Steel and Kumar. Oh, this might be it. Oh, just barely. They barely miss out on P-Town. It's going to be Tim's Las Vegas Raiders. I keep wanting to say Oakland Raiders. It's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. Steel, Kumar, and Tim together. Boy, Hero, Phil, and P-Town. That would be a fun. Actually, no, Dan C-Mass and P-Town. That's what I want. That's just maximum competitiveness, maximum toxicity there. And we might get it. It's going to be Taint here going to Group 5. Taint's Philadelphia Eagles, who I know is pretty active in terms of playing Madden 20. I have not seen him play. Have you played Taint at all?
Not at all.
Okay, so yeah, we'll see how he does there. Hero, Phil, and Taint. And then, again, whoever this lands on will be with Dan and C-Mass. Whoever does not will be with Cody and Dahootie. So we will see. Oh my. Okay, that's a pretty easy one. It's going to be Gamble's Jacksonville Jaguars will be with Dan and C-Mass. Tough draw for Gamble, I have to say. And then that's going to be, I almost forgot. Yep, that's going to be P-Town with Cody and Tahuti. I mean, shoot. Speaking of divisions of death, Jesus Christ. All right, to fill out the groups here, we're going to just keep going here, and then we'll talk about the groups at the end. To be with Lucky, Justin, and Warren. Prayers up to Ryan. Free Justin Herbert. It's going to be him.
Oh, no.
You could not, I don't think you could have had, like, a worse draw, potentially, for Ryan.
Oh, no, man.
His only hope is bodying Justin, which could happen. You never know. To join me, Alex, and Cam. It's going to be, that's tough for me. It's going to be Ben's Kansas City Chiefs, probably the best of these, on paper at least, the best of these fourth-tier users here. So it's going to be Connor, Alex, Cam, and Ben. Very interesting there. Little Alex, Morty, Kook, and who? Let's find out. And Byron's 49ers. Oh, and I should mention also, I completely forgot, obviously you have to be your team. I gave Samoan the choice. That was Byron. I gave Samoan the choice of any of the teams remaining. He chose the Cowboys, so he will be the Cowboys for this whole tournament here. All right, it's going to be Nico's Tennessee Titans joining. I completely forgot, joining Steel, Kumar, and Tim. So honestly, if I'm Steel and Kumar, I'm feeling pretty good about making it to the bracket. But obviously, we'll talk about it more when it comes down to it. This will be to join Hero, Phil, and Taint. It's going to be Jesse's Los Angeles Rams will join Hero, Phil, and Taint. That's a fun group, too. That's a really fun group, honestly. And then again, the winner of this, or I should say the person this lands on, will join Dan, CMAS, and Gamble. And then the one it doesn't land on will be slotted in Cody's group there. And it is going to be, we don't even need to watch the rest of the spin. It is going to be Samoan with Dan, CMAS, and Gamble. And then it is going to be, who was the final person? It is going to be Nick. Getting picked last in this, too. That's really tough. That's really tough for Nick. He just never seems to get picked.
That's too bad.
But, that does it there for the draw. We have the groups here. I'll go through them real quick. Group 1, Lucky, Justin, Warren, and Ryan. Group 2, myself, Alex, Cam, and Ben. Group 3, Little Alex, Morty, Kook, and Byron. Group 4, Steel, Kumar, Tim, Nico. Group 5, Hero, Phil, Taint, Jesse. Group 6, Dan, CMAS, Gamble, and Samoan. And then Group 7, Cody, Tahuti, P-Town, and Nick. Just talk about kind of like anything that sticks out to you. Maybe some groups of death, maybe some like easier groups. What do you think about this?
We're kind of hyping up P-Town right now. This Cody Tahuti P-Town division, like Tahuti is kind of cracked too. He's been labbing 23 since the beta. He played like 1 million beta games. Now he's playing 1 million MUT games, and like he's winning MUT Super Bowls and all of that. So he's competitive. So I'm excited to see those. And definitely the Lucky Justin Warren division. That's going to be fun. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with my 2 division guys. Want to watch that matchup, see how they play each other. And then, of course, Warren's going to get in there, get active against them. So those are the 2 divisions I'm really excited about.
Wolf and I just following users left and right here. We really appreciate that. I mean, maybe BLN's biggest supporter who's not actually in the league. Just to give my thoughts about each group real quick. Like you said, Lucky, Justin, Warren, and Ryan, that's a really fun division. We have a pretty clear last place, I would say. I don't know how much Justin's been playing the game. I know he's been on at least once, but like to me, at least, like the favorites on paper to make it are probably Lucky and Warren. But like that Bills team, man, you never know. That could carry Justin to some special things. So that's a pretty tight 1-2-3 race there, in my opinion. Myself, Alex, Cam, and Ben, again, those are 4 competitors. Those are 4 guys who, going into this are going to be really looking to kind of prove themselves, especially Cam, after the cycle he had, and Ben, frankly, after the cycle he had. So that'll be a really fun one. I think you could see any of those guys potentially make a run, because apparently, according to himself, Cam's the best user in this cycle. So maybe I got the division of death. Group 3, Little Alex, Morty, Kook, and Byron. I think to me, and my dog is going crazy in the background, I apologize. To me, there's a pretty clear, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how much Kook's been playing. I don't know how much Byron's been playing. So I see Little Alex and Morty having a pretty easy time making it out of that group. And honestly, same with Steele and Kumar in Group 4. Again, 3 and 4 have pretty similar dynamics, in my opinion, where I think Steele and Kumar have to be the pretty heavy favorites to make it out of there. Hero Phil Taint Jesse is interesting. Obviously, we always see Matt, really get active early on. I know he's been playing a lot of games. I know he's been getting active. I don't know how that's going to correlate against Hero and Phil, but the Taint Phil again will be interesting. I don't necessarily see Jesse making it out of there, given, again, much like some of these guys, I don't know if he's even touched Madden 23 yet, so it's just tough to say based on that. But Hero is definitely, in my opinion, a lock to make it out of there. Dan, Seamass, Gamble, and Samoan, again, much like Ryan in Group 1, Gamble, prayers up to you. I don't see you making it. Dan, Seamass, Samoan is a really, really interesting 1-2-3. That's a really interesting 1-2-3. I really don't know what to expect, especially because I don't know how much Samoan's been playing, but we have seen a really high ceiling from him in this league. Obviously, 2-time Super Bowl champion. So, depending how locked in those guys are, you could really see that 1-2-3 in any order, in my opinion. And then Cody Tahuti P-Town, Nick, again, the Cody Tahuti P-Town, that might be the strongest 1-2-3 of any of these groups, honestly, just in terms of depth, based on what we've seen from P-Town, based on what you mentioned with Tahuti playing a million MUT games, and then Cody's Cody, it's those guys are all going to be competitive. And then again, with Nick, well, I feel bad for Nick. He gets the hardest divisions, he gets the hardest groups. He's really been screwed over for the cycle. So I'm sorry, Nick, but go have fun out there, go lab some stuff, because that's really what this preseason tournament's all about.
I want to point out too, Connor. I think we kind of talked about this format. We're probably gonna have 2 wild card teams.
Yeah.
Of the third place teams, we're gonna stack the third place teams up, and we're gonna see who will make it out of that.
Yeah. So
to make
yeah, I'll kind of talk through that real quick, and then we can talk about that.
So if these these groups of death, we could have 3 people make it in potentially. Not all of them. It's probably only going to be 2 groups that are going to get 3 people in. But that's something to think about when you look at this.
Yeah, so just kind of briefly talk about how we're going to run this. Like Dan was just saying, the top 2 finishers in each group are going to make it. We're doing a 16-team single elimination bracket once group plays over. So yeah, again, top 2 teams, that equals 14. All of those guys are going to make it. We will decide the best 2 third place teams, and how we're going to do that is it's going to be winning percentage, and then if that doesn't do it, the next tiebreaker is going to be total point margin, total margin of victory, margin of defeat across all 3 games. So really the onus is on you. If you're playing someone way worse than you, run that shit up, because that could potentially be what gets you into the that could be potentially what gets you into the bracket versus, maybe outside looking in. It's going to, probably, in my best estimation, probably going to come down to a point differential in terms of what decides these tiebreakers. So run it up. There's no, I guess, sportsmanship rules in these preseason tournament games. So do the best you can against everyone, and may the best man win. It's going to be a fun one. What are your thoughts just on this tournament here before we close things up?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, preseason tournament is not something we typically traditionally take very seriously, but yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of locked in when we are really taking this format seriously and everything like that. My earnest hope is that people schedule their games and actually play these out. So I don't know what you want to do for a force win type of situation. I don't know, make it 21-0 or something of a result. We can talk about that, but
yeah,
and God forbid if we have to fair sim, we're gonna watch a super sim. I'll do that. I'll stream a super sim.
I'll announce a super sim with you. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So there's a couple things to think about, but no, I really like this. This is something different, something exciting, and of course, the post cycle power rankings that went into this group and everything, into the groupings and everything like that. So this is going to be fun. I can't wait to get this going. And again, I hope people stay committed to this and we see this through to the end, because this is going to be fun.
Yeah, just clarify, because I'm seeing some questions in chat. Yes, all Better League gameplay rules apply. That includes, run, pass, run and pass requirements. That includes everything else. The only rule that I guess kind of goes out the window for this tournament is run it up all you want to. We're here to lab, we're here to get better. If you're up by a lot, just keep working on stuff, keep trying, keep driving the ball to score, because it's a preseason tournament. You don't have to be it's whatever. But yeah, all Better League rules apply. Play sim or sim-ish, you know, depending on how you see Better League. You know, you could definitely make the argument that we're only sim-ish, but Better League rules apply. Yes, that's correct. And I don't know. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, these feel like pretty balanced groups overall. I don't see any that are like crazy stacked. Like, I mean, Group 7, like that's a tough 1, 2, 3. But like, there are no like ridiculous groups, and then no like trash groups either. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. We'll see who wins preseason tournament. Again, like you said, this is not something we historically take seriously, but we're all competitors. We've been kind of resting a while. There's gonna be some juice heading into this one.
Do you want to take a look at the spreadsheet? When you were doing the drawings, I was kind of filling out the groups.
Yeah, I don't, not on stream, no, because I don't have it up, and I'd have to like go into my email. And
okay, yeah, that's fine.
Do that, but
that's fine. I'll like let the chat know.
Yeah, show the people, and we'll write this all up and put it in announcements too. So
hell yeah,
be ready for that. But Dan, thank you so much for joining me. Any final thoughts on Madden 22, Madden 23? Anything you want to get off your chest before it goes?
Not at all. I mean, again, we just hit it on the money. This is, you know, best league in the world, and we're gonna stay with this, and let's have some fun, be competitive, and I guess we'll see you guys at a later time.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone who's in the chat. It was a very active chat all throughout. I appreciate that. Again, thank you to Jam for joining me. That's our final look at Madden 22, probably that we'll ever have, at least on a streamed, you know, on an actual Better League Network production here, and then we move on to our first competitive games here of Madden 23. Yes, it's the preseason, but everyone's got some juice. Everyone's got some fire going into this, so I'm excited. There are your groups. Those were your Madden 22 rankings as well, along with Dan. I'm your host for this one. Connor Rice, happy Madden, everyone. Peace.